the Boston Celtics need Kristaps Porzingis to win the Eastern Conference Finals? That's what we're going to be breaking down here on Celtics Today by Chat Sports. I'm Allie Barefoot, and while the Celtics do want Kristaps Porzingis to play in some of the biggest games of the year, I don't know if they necessarily need him in order to take down the New York Knicks or the Indiana Pacers. So I'm going to be breaking down some facts and figures about when KP's possible return could be. But before we get into any of that, I do want you guys to do one thing for me. If you want KP to play in the Eastern Conference Finals, if you guys want him to be fully healthy, ready to go like nothing ever happened, go ahead and spam your KPs down below. I want to see this community flooded. I want to see the comment section flooded with KPs down below. Let's go ahead and get into it. First off, shout out to the Nuggets for getting crushed last night versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, because there was a little bit of standings going on that if the Nuggets and the Knicks had won Game 6, well, the Celtics will be playing on Sunday. But since the Nuggets lost, we are now playing on Tuesday. So shout out to the Joker for giving KP a little extra time to rest before the Eastern Conference Finals kicks off. And I do have that schedule right here in front of you guys. If you guys are more of a visual learner like I am, we will be playing Game 1 on Tuesday, May 21st. And then we're going to play on Thursday. So you got one game in between. Then you got another game in between the Saturday game, which will be at either Gainbridge Fieldhouse or Madison Square Garden, and then I'll go to Monday. So we're looking at the same thing here with just one day off in between these games, which personally I like, but I know if you talk to the Boston Celtics, I'm sure they would like to have at least 2 days off in between. But in terms of keeping this thing rolling, I like that they only have 1 day off. Plus, it is good to know that Kristaps Porzingis, at least according to his Instagram, is feeling pretty good. Of course, our last update that we had with KP was that he was working on his pick and rolls. He was working on his mid-range. He wasn't taking any shots from downtown. He was really working around the rim. And this was just during warm-ups, about 15 minutes during warm-ups ahead of Game 4. But then ahead of Game 5, he posts this picture with a comment saying every day. So clearly, he's working behind scenes. We already know that Derek White says that he's been with them every step of the way. So he's also been around the team as well. He is not just in the dark. He is hoping to get back as soon as possible. Well, Joe Mazzulla did give an update earlier today on Kristaps Porzingis' injury, and he says, I have no idea. Well, that sucks. Of course, Joe Mazzulla, whether he knows more, we can't figure that out because this is all he'll disclose to a very high reporter here for the Celtics, Noah Dalzell, but he has zero update. The last time he gave an update on Kristaps Porzingis, he said he's not even a part of the rehab injury process. He's just been giving him time to recover, but he does know KP is working as fast as he can to return as soon as he can, but he's really making sure he doesn't re-aggravate anything having to do with that strain. So, because you don't want him to re-aggravate it, do you think he should come back for the Eastern Conference Finals? Because I really do think either opponent the Celtics face, they have the rights, they have the odds to end up beating either team here and moving on to the NBA Finals, which I want 110% Kristaps Porzingis back for that. Type Y for yes, type N for no if you think the Celtics should start the Eastern Conference Finals with Porzingis. Whether or not he comes in towards the middle, we're going to break that down in just a few moments. But will Boston play KP at all? We're going to be breaking down the facts and the figures as to why they should and why they shouldn't in the back half of this show. First and foremost, this Celtics Today is sponsored by PrizePicks, my favorite daily fantasy sports app in America, and also America's favorite daily fantasy sports app as well. If you guys want to play along with me, here's the first step. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Go on ahead and put that promo code right there when you get to the website using CLNS. That way you can get a first-time deposit match up to $100. Once your money is deposited, well, now it's time for the easy part. Go on ahead and pick more or less on a player's projected stats. That's it. And for right now, for the NBA postseason, I've been loving what they have to offer here for the Knicks and the Pacers game. This, in my opinion, has been one of the best series in the NBA postseason so far. So I got the big man down low, Isaiah, having more than 8.5 points. And then I got the other big man for the Pacers, Turner, having more than 17 points down low. And the man of the hour, Jalen Brunson. Give me 34.5 points. He's had numerous games with over 40 points so far in the NBA postseason. So if you want to copy my picks, go for it. If not, go on ahead and go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use that promo Use that promo code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It is truly that easy to watch yourself win some real money in real time. Let's talk about the New York Knicks here for a minute. If the Celtics have to face the Knicks, they will still have a better roster than the Knicks do, in my opinion, talent-wise as well, but also in terms of being healthy. The Knicks are full of the injury report right now with several injuries, and while I know we're being a little bit spoiled here with only Kristaps Porzingis being listed on the injury report night in and night out, and yes, he's a huge player for the Celtics, but it could be a lot worse. How bad? It could be the New York Knicks. Julius Randle out for the season. And while there will be some discussion on whether or not the Knicks are better with or without Julius Randle, that's up to Knicks fans. However, I do think they are better with Mitchell Robinson. That's a huge win for the Celtics, not having to go up against Mitchell Robinson, especially if they don't play Kristaps Porzingis. And then Bojan Bogdanovic, which was a pickup by the NBA trade deadline, didn't get to really explode with the Knicks because he was in and out of the injury report since he's been traded. And then OG Anunoby is a huge loss for the Knicks. But the reason why there is an asterisk right there is because we don't know his status for the Eastern Conference Finals if the Knicks do make it. As of right now, he's ruled out for Game 6 versus the Indiana Pacers, but who's to say he could not make a recovery by Tuesday and start playing once more for the Knicks. He is a deal breaker for the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. But if they have to play the Indiana Pacers, that's still a really tough roster, and they look a lot like the Boston Celtics, except for they only have one player on the injury report, and it's really not one of their star players. They still have a very healthy Haliburton, Miles Turner, Nembhard, Pascal Siakam, Obi Toppin coming off the bench. They have enough resources to take on the Boston Celtics and maybe even pick up 1 or 2 games while being fully healthy. The good news is that I believe the Celtics have probably one of the best bench in the NBA, and I'm talking about Horford, who has been a bench player for the Celtics all season long. But now, since KP's out, he's been a starter. Now, Kornet has moved into number 2 for the center depth chart, and Horford and Kornet have done the damn thing. I have loved how they have come in and really helped each other out in terms of blocking. Al Horford had the Game 5 of his life, and not only that, KP is showing love to the big men that are still putting in work game in, game out. KP obviously commenting to one of the big plays Al Horford had in Game 5 saying, "Let's go! Al is unreal." Respect for Al Horford. KP is their biggest fan. You see him all the time on the bench cheering every time Al Horford and Luke Kornet get the job done. And I actually saw him even mentoring Neemias Queta when he was on the bench, never knowing when Queta may have to go in if another center does go down. So it's good to know that KP, while he is not physically there for the Celtics, he is definitely mentally and emotionally there for them right now. And it's going to be really helpful because you're going to have KP that's going to need to really put some words of wisdom to Al Horford, who personally in the last 2 rounds has kind of showed his age just a little bit. Didn't look like it in Game 5. This man was a rim runner like I had never seen before. But I will say that he can't put up as many minutes as we have seen him in his prime. I don't blame him. He's 37 years old. But it is going to be a little bit unfortunate if KP can't come back sooner rather than later, because in the regular season, Al Horford never really had to play back-to-back games. And Joe Mazzulla did a great job of that. Al would play, KP would rest. KP would play, Al would rest. They don't have that luxury anymore. Because in the regular season, when Al Horford has 1 day of rest, he's still putting up pretty good numbers here for a backup center. 7.8 points per game, 6.4 boards. Obviously still doing damage, 39% from the downtown and 47% from the field. When he has 2 days of rest, he's a lot better. 10 points per game. Nearly the same amount of rebounds. And then you got 3 assists, shooting better from the field and from a three-point line. You want Al Horford to have as much rest as he can. But we just saw the Eastern Conference Finals schedule. He's only going to have 1 day of rest in between these games, which is the only reason why I would possibly think about bringing Kristaps back for the Eastern Conference Finals. But in a grand scheme of things and a big picture, I wouldn't play KP. In my opinion, I think unless the Celtics go down in a series, which would be the first time in this NBA postseason, is when I would play Kristaps Porzingis. And if they happen to start him, I'm not going to be mad at it, but obviously he and his trainer are going to know a lot more than I will I do think the Boston Celtics can take both the Knicks and the Pacers without Porzingis. Will it be pretty? Hell no. It will be a dogfight. It may even go to 7 because they don't have the big man down low. But they've been working really well without KP so far. I would not bring him back unless absolutely necessary. We even know there are other players who have stepped up, not just Horford and Cornette down low. We even saw Jayson Tatum move his butt down low to the 5 spot and defend Mobley a ton in the Cleveland Cavaliers series, and he knows he can play 1 through 5. JT has been playing his butt off along with Jaylen Brown, so Tatum's even going to step up and have to play down low if that means giving Al Horford and Luke Cornette just a little bit of rest. I wouldn't keep him there all game, obviously, but he knows how to defend bigger players. He is a bigger player. He's 6'10" for crying out loud. If he needs to go down low and get big body with Isaiah Hartenstein or Miles Turner, I know he can do that as well. But here's where you guys come in. How confident are you in the Celtics without Kristaps Porzingis? I would say I'm probably a 7. I definitely miss his wingspan. I miss his height. I miss those dump-offs down low to really just give us some quick points around the rim. So that's unfortunate, but I am confident the Celtics that are there right now can get it done. Scale it 1 through 10 in the comment section. And while you guys are there, be sure to hit that sub button for me. We will be live for every single Boston Celtics game moving forward, and I want you guys to be a part of it. All you have to do, hit that sub button for me.